Hi, Juliette. This is your dad on a rainy third day of April in 2018. I should be doing my taxes. I want to get these emails finished. Um, this is significant because I've sent about 3 or 4 weeks of emails to your mother again without her giving me a response. And then I look on the school uh, portal. The parents are allowed to. It's funny because I used your mother's password and noticed her attendance during the trial, and she immediately that day changed her password. And I called the school and said, "I'm her father. Can I sign me up?" And they just gave me a password. Um, I think that there's no greater word to describe your mother than the word entitlement. That she doesn't think that I have the same rights as a parent that she does. Uh, Once again, uh, I'm not here specifically to bash or say bad things about your mother, but in order to defend myself, I'm going to have to. And here comes some because I called the school again because I saw you were missing school. And guess what the school did? They didn't call me back. They called your mother back. And she was really angry this time. Now, remember the first time she reported to me on your condition was just that you were seeing a doctor, you were getting some medicine, and that you were going to a different school. By law, she has to inform me on everything that has to do with your health and welfare. Doctor's names, the medicines, everything. But I'd have to have the money to sue her, to take her to court. And in this country and in this world, and probably since forever, justice is served to those who have money. Money buys you justice. If you don't have money, you can't take somebody to court. And so I can't take your mother to court for breaking the law, which she's doing by not informing me. But I want you to listen to the tone of her voice. Listen to the tone of this email, and this is the anger that she. Just because I called the school to find out why you're missing school again. Hi, Lyle. Juliet missed a lot of school due to persistent anxiety and depression. She attended for a week or so an alternate school with group therapy and such. She learned so much. Once again, she doesn't tell me the school or what the alternative school is or anything like that. Not to mention, I'm the one that said you had social anxiety disorder before she took me to court, and now she's acknowledging it. So she knows that there's an "I told you so" in there somewhere. Uh, so back to the email I wrote her. She did a trial day of school on a Thursday, and the next day she returned to the group therapy folks to report about and to determine if she'd be ready to go back to school. She was ready. She went back for a week when there was spring break. Now she's back 1 week, and she's suffered extreme fatigue one day and came home early. She hasn't mentioned to me anything about the 504 plan. She hasn't been thinking about Dr. Vredenberg, all things I know now, but she would not tell me anything. In the midst of this, Sadie has become noticeably aged. She sleeps in a basket in a soft blanket and can barely walk. She's not grooming and not eating much. Julia isn't depressed about it. Well, you can understand that. Well, I certainly can. I've had several cats that have died since I've been living here. Uh, Now I'm taking care of 2 cats for somebody else for a few months, and I don't know if I'll get another one. Back to the email. Your mother writes. She always starts out by giving me some information, and then she starts in with the gaslighting. It's hard for me to reach out to you because you can be so mean and cruel. Even when you aren't mean, I never know when you will be mean. That's what's called, a circular trap, meaning, you know, you know, I can't do anything because I never know when you'll be mean. I mean, come on, It's like you're two different Lyles. When you're in pain and needy, you're one guy. The other guy has delusions of grandeur with the study of the philosophers. Oh, boy. And when you wrote the math teacher that I wasn't bright enough to understand the math that appears on and off. Yeah, I've been guilty of throwing. Your own mother said she couldn't do your math in sixth grade, and I accidentally CC'd an email to the math teacher that I'm a math teacher myself, and your mother is not good at math, and your mother got it, and I apologized to her about that. It was very sincerely. It was a very I shouldn't have done it, but she comes and throws it back in my face, and she's like, "I'm two people. I'm like two people," and delusions of grandeur. I don't think she understands what that term means, because if I'm studying philosophy, I'm just, educating myself. I don't think I'm Napoleon. I don't think I'm Freud. I don't think she knows what the words mean. And then I'm guilty of making fun of her intelligence. Well, there you go. She also doesn't know the difference between empathy and sympathy. Well, somebody who doesn't have empathy wouldn't. Back to email. You've been mean at times over the many years and then often said it never happened. No. I've been mean at times over the years, and I've apologized for it or been nice the next day because that's how I act, and your mother has attested to that. I always wrote it off to you being out of it. And now listen to this. This is gaslighting 101. I always wrote it off to you being out of it in some way, be it drinking or pain meds or something, with some capitalized. You have a tell. Your speech is slurred. Another tell is you're not remembering. Well, I'll tell you, my speech may sound slurred right now because I have about 10 teeth left. And I have to get dentures. And I do talk differently. But I'm telling you something. I haven't had a drink since 2011 in almost 7 years. And I never get any credit for that. And I don't know, the pain meds I take, they're prescribed by the doctor because of why I'm on disability. I would gladly trade the pain for not having to take the pain meds, but she's just gaslighting me as a drug addict and an alcoholic. She writes, it's very hard, very painful to deal with one who alternates from mean to nice or from mean to tolerable. It's exponentially more difficult and painful for a kid to deal with that. Well, I don't know how, Juliette, you deal with it, or how your mother knows it's more difficult for a kid to deal with it. But I would like to deal with your mother if she would alternate between being mean and nice, because she's only mean. I'll take mean and nice as opposed to being always mean. She writes, rest assured, Juliette has a great psychiatrist and a talk therapist. She won't give me the information on who they are like she's supposed to by state law. She writes, she's getting better. Her self-esteem took quite a hit, dare I say it, from you. Bullcrap. I'm not saying you caused all of it. Okay, exonerated me. but your treatment of her made her feel like a nothing. Remember, she stopped talking to you because you criticized her too heavily. The tough love was not a good way to try and teach her. Juliette, you never told me anything. This is all your mother speaking for you, and your mother speaks for you all the time. And when you read this at whatever time you read this in the future, you have to realize that your mother is saying all these things that you're saying. I've never heard one single negative word from you. And then she writes, then you suddenly found answers about her anxiety, or social. Then I spent 2 months doing it. I spent more than 2 months doing it. Months, your mother, your mother didn't do anything. And accused me of not tending to her medical needs. Yeah, I badgered your mother for 2 months to get her to see a psychiatrist, to get you evaluated, to see if my theory was right, and she didn't. She waited a month until after she took me to trial and finally decided to do it. She had, back to email, she had seen a talk therapist already, but you had previously always hated that idea. I don't know where she gets that from. That's ridiculous. I don't know even why you're going to a talk therapist. The talk therapist was helping her find her voice with school chums and me, with you. How you ridicule the idea of mental health help. I have ridiculed the idea of people going to psychiatrists as a status symbol, like in Hollywood. Okay? If somebody really needs mental health, like my friend who had schizophrenia, or your Aunt Mary, who has bipolar disease, or many other people, then you have to see somebody who can help you with mental health. Your mother's gaslighting me again here. Back to the email. She said for a long time she doesn't want to see you. Really? Then how come your mother kept letting you see me? And she writes, and that you know that it makes her fear, and that you knowing that makes her fear your anger, and that you're knowing that makes her fear your anger. Never expressed by you, Juliette, to me. You know, YA. You know how you trained her at what happens at Daddy's house, stays at Daddy's house. Well, on very few occasions he described something that happened, and it made me angry enough to tell you, to confront you, and you punished her. That's so wrong, so hard on a child. You called her a snitch. She was a young child. That's all I got right now. Okay, I could just go hours with that, and I'm up to 13 minutes already. What happens is that Daddy's house, stayed at Daddy's house, comes from when Juliette was small, and your mother was strict with your bedtime and on the computer, and I broke the rules, and I used that expression. I never used that when you were here. But, she somehow found that out. She only knows that I called you a snitch because when I was yelling at your mother, on the cell phone that day that we had the big argument, she put it on speakerphone so that you would be terrified of me, purposely. And that's child abuse. I'll write back. I don't care if this is one that's going to be long, because it's... I write back. It's pathetic that it takes my calling in high school for me to write you. Saying that it's difficult to correspond with me because I am mean is a cop-out, and you keep treading the same ground that Juliette doesn't want to see me. You can't call her situation of having too much anxiety to go to school abnormal and then blame me for her condition. You're keeping two sets of books. The saying, what we do in Daddy's house goes on to Daddy's house, goes back before 2011, when you were very strict about rules, brushing teeth, homework, bedtime. Post-2012, there didn't seem to be any rules. So in the early days, I would let her stay up later than you asked, thus the expression. As for my getting angry with Juliette, even call her a name, as a teenager getting mad at her father, if this is so unusual that it is unheard of in households around the world, then I deserved what I got. However, If it happens in all families, then her condition is the only explanation as why she would react so. It's Juliet's condition that is the problem here, not what I did. I explain the importance of communication and civility, but your lack of communication lacks civility and common decency. The most logical thing would be to refuse her irrational fear of me. The most rational thing that for us would not be adversaries but allies. And the one thing that matters, the health and happiness of Juliette. She's young, but she's hardly a child at 16 or 17. I have not finished with what I wanted to express to you, but hate me all you want. Don't let that affect the possibility that my help may make a better future for our child, for God's sakes, a child that is as much mine as yours. I'm saying here that your mother's hatred is going to, prevent me helping you get better. Uh, and I write, I still think therapy is a bit of a sham. But when it comes to somebody who that is clinically ill, I'm 100% for seeing a psychiatrist, one that is an expert in social anxiety disorder. And I will certainly address this further. I am willing to put aside to do whatever it takes to help Juliette. I ask you to do the same. However, my weekly email is still to come, and what I have to say in it is more important than any of the other ones that I have sent to you. Communication, civility, and progress. Be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun set on your anger. Think about that. And by the way, see if you can tell me who said that off the top of your head. All right, I'm going to stop there because we are in the middle of a email war again now. You can see how angry she goes at me and how much she's gaslighting me and doing all these things and pulling out things from the past. And it's just so horrible. I can't even to go back and to reread these is just so traumatic for me. But I love you, Juliette. Long video. Bye.